Lists and keys. How to transform lists in JavaScript. Given the code below, we use the map function to take an array of numbers and double their values. We assign the new arrays returned by map to the variable double and log it. Let's see this in action. Create a code pen. Here we define an array of numbers 1, 2, 3, 4 and doubled is numbers that map which make them double and console log double. Let's check the console. You see, we use the map function to make the value of numbers item doubled. In React, transforming arrays into list of elements is nearly identical. You can build collections of elements and include them in JSX using curly braces. Below, we loop through the numbers array using the JavaScript map function. We return an li element for each item. Finally, we assign the returning array of elements to list items. Let's make this code reactable. I mean, we need to add the library React and React DOM and make the preprocessor Babel. Then save it, create ID root and make them close and create space for here. We want to use React DOM.render list items, which will be create and document dot get element by ID, and the ID is root. Okay, let's make the list item variable with map function on numbers, but this time we'll return JSX element. List item element, curly bracket to put a there, and close the list item element. You see, we have a list item here. To respect the HTML, we can put a UL as a container of this list element. Here we put a UL, but remember that you need to put the variables inside curly braces. This code displays a bullet list of numbers between 1 to 4. Usually, you would render list inside the component. We can refactor the previous sample into a component that accepts an array of numbers and output a list of elements. Let's convert it to a number list. So here I create a functional component number list which accepts probes, and I use this code here. But this time it's probes.numbers and return list items inside UL, but in the render function I use the number list component. But here we need to set the numbers to numbers variable. See, it works. We defined a number component which get a list of numbers as an array and return a unordered list like this. When you run this code, you'll be given a warning that a key should be provided for list items. A key is a special string attribute you need to include when creating list of elements. We'll discuss why it's important in the next section, but what you need to do is to add an attribute to list item element like this. And I set it to a.toString because the key should be a string. It's very important for React that you assign a key to elements inside map function. Keys help React identify which items have changed, are added, or are removed. Keys should be given to elements inside the array to give the elements a stable identity. When you don't have stable IDs for rendered item, you may use the item index as a key as a last resort. Let's see, in this sample, you would use the index and index as a second parameter and put index.toString there to make each item unique. Try not to use indexes for keys if the order of items may change. This can negatively impact performance and may cause issues with component state. Keys only make sense in the context of surrounding array. For example, if you extract a list item component, you should keep the key on the list item element in the array. Let's do this in action. Here, we make the li element as another component. Let's cut this part and convert it to list item component, and here I define list item component, which return probes dot number and here I convert it to probes.number. Here we need to assign the key like this, and number like this. Here you see it works, but the point is that you should set the key right after the map function. So there is no need to assign a key inside li element in this sample. So I can delete the key inside list item component, and I assign the key right after the map function, the element right after the map function. Key must be only unique among siblings. Key used within arrays should be unique among their siblings. However, they don't need to be globally unique. We can use the same keys when we produce two different arrays. See the sample, we have two components, sidebar and content, which uses post.ids as a key, and because they are two different components and uses two different map function, their IDs could be same. I mean, the key inside the li item have same IDs. But because they are not in the same map function, it's okay. About passing keys. Key serves as a hint to react, but they don't get passed to your components. If you need the same value in your component, pass it explicitly as a probe with a different name. Let's see in this sample, the post component cannot have access the keys, but if you want to pass the post ID to this component, you need to set it with different name, which is ID in this sample. The last point of this lesson is about embedding map in JSX. In the example above, we declared a separate list item variable and included it in the JSX. In number list, we used the list items as a variable, but we could make it inline. JSX allows embedding any expression in curly braces, so we could inline the map result. Here, we remove the variable list items, and with a curly braces, we make the number that map inline here. Sometimes this result is clearer code, but this style can also be abused. Like in JavaScript, it's up to you to decide whether it's worth extracting a variable for readability. Keep in mind that if the map body is too nested, it might be a good time to extract a component. Okay, that's it about lists and keys, and follow other lessons at codingwithbasir.com.